Judging our Horn Dorset show today is Mike Stitzline from Ashland, Ohio. Mike farms and raises Suffolk, Hampshire, and crossbred sheep. He's a graduate of Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree in animal science. He's the past president of the Ohio Sheep Improvement Association, and he's a member of the Ohio State University Animal Science Hall of Fame. Let's welcome Mike Stitzline to the Big E this afternoon.
In this first class of ram lambs here, we've got two individuals that are both really attractive from the side profile. They balance up really well. I guess the difference is when you get behind the two rams, you find that the ram, when you get your hands on the ram we started the class with, just opens up just quite a bit more through his forerib and rack and lays into that shoulder better. You really like him when he comes out of that shoulder into that rack area because he has some expression of muscle and sits up there on top of his shoulder the way it should. The ram's really level down his top line out through his dock, goes to the ground pretty good on his feet and legs. A little freer up front if I could change him. Both rams are just a bit straight shouldered for me. But the second place ram, he's a really tall, attractive sheep. I just like to see more of him and handle more of him when I get my hands on him. He's just not as opened up through his forerib and especially in through that rack area when you get your hands on him as the ram we chose to start with. Congratulations.
Placing on the class of Horn Dorset fitted fall Ram Lambs, first place in both the Open and the Junior Show goes to Gadsby 22108, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut, Ram weighing 250. Second place in both the Open and the Junior Show to Oberholzer 2206, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania, that Ram weighing 215.
In our slick-sheared ram lamb class here, two rams that are a little bit different in type and kind as you look from the side of the ring. Get up on them, they're not as different as you would think. The ram that we chose to start with has some muscle working down his top. He's really, really level out through his hip and pin placement. You like that about him. When he gets out, he strides out pretty free and easy off of both ends. I really like the balance of the ram. When you get him on the side view, get him behind him, he balances up pretty well too. I think just kind of a nice complete ram to start the class with. The second place ram has equally about as much muscle. He's a little shorter and coupled ram than what we started with. He's a little maybe stouter featured, if you want to say, because just more fur on his legs. I'd like to change him the way he gets out and moves. When he gets out and moves, he kind of wants to come apart. He gets a little soft on his rear pasterns, just some issues with him when we set him into motion that we don't have in our first place ram. So congratulations.
Placing on the class of slick-shorn fall Ram Lambs, first place went to entry number 515, Madeline Syme of South Windsor, Connecticut, with Frog Hollow 1, that ram weighing 239.5. Second place to entry 514, Oberholzer 2219, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania, ram weighing 197.
We only have the one entry here in the late-born class, but a really nice balanced ram. When you view him from the side, you have to appreciate the balance of the ram. When he gets out and moves, he's pretty sound off of both ends. I guess what I would like to see maybe more of, and probably will get more with time, is just more width up through his forerib and rack, and open him up in his heart girth there just a bit as compared to some of the other rams we've seen today. I think he will do that more with time. Will he have enough? I guess that all comes with time, and we'll sort that out as he gets older and puts on more weight. But a really nice balanced sheep to go into the first hole and could stand some competition. In our slick-sheared ram lamb class, again, we've got a nice individual from the profile standpoint. Again, if we get up on him, you see you would like to open him up through his heart girth and through his forerib and rack there. Just give him a little more capacity from side to side, I'd like to see. When we get him out into motion, you can kind of see he wants to break behind his shoulders ever so slightly, and he's a really long hind-saddled ram, though. You have to appreciate the levelness of his pin shape. Gets out and moves free and easy on those feet and legs. A pretty nice ram in a lot of aspects. We just could change him through this forerib and rack. We could make him stand quite a bit more competition. Congratulations.
Placing on the Slickshorn Winter Spring Ram Lamb class for the Horn Dorsets, first place goes to entry 519. Oberholzer 2302. Amanda Oberholzer, East Earle, Pennsylvania. That ram weighing 151 pounds. Placings for our class of pair ram lambs. First place to entry 522, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to 521, Emma Oberholzer, East Earle, Pennsylvania. And third place to 520, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earle, Pennsylvania. We're now ready to show for open show, fitted, champion, and reserve champion ram. So fitted, champion, and reserve champion.
For a champion ram out here in our horn breed, I guess there's one that really sort of sticks out to me that kind of comes to the top of the group. He's a ram that's really wide and has the base width and still has the structure to go along with it. you get your hands on him, he's really not disappointing at all. In fact, surprisingly how big his top is and level and square down his back. You really have to appreciate that. The yearling buck will be our champion. For reserve, it gets a little closer for me. I guess both rams have kind of the same similar issues, and you have to decide, well, is the buckland maybe going to open up as he gets a little more age and time on him to match up with the other I guess fall buck. They're not yearlings, but I like the balance of the spring buck. I like his look, his eye appeal. He's green, but yet I think there's a lot of future in that one. We're going to come back to him for reserve.
For our fitted champion, it was the first place fall fitted ram lamb. Gadsby 22108, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The reserve champion was the first place out of the fitted winter spring ram lamb class. Oberholzer 2303, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Now showing open show slick shorn champion and reserve champion ram.
For our slick-shirred champion, again, I think there's one buck out here just sort of comes to the top of the group pretty easily. And again, reserve is a little closer for me. We're going to come up here with our, I guess, fall buck for our champion ram. He's easily the best ram out here in the group. When we get back to reserve, I think there's some give and take in each of those. And in your mind, as we set him into motion, they both kind of have some similar problems and some similar good attributes. But there's one that sort of has more capacity to him today, a little stouter featured. He still has some structural issues that we changed, but I don't know if they're bad enough to take away from how much mass and volume he has. We're going to go back to our second place in that fall class for our reserve.
For our open show slick shorn champion ram, it was the first place slick shorn fall ram lamb. Frog Hollow 1, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Reserve slick shorn ram goes to our second place animal out of the slick shorn fall ram lamb class, Oberholzer 2219, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. We are now ready to show for grand and reserve grand champion ram. While in the open we only give a grand champion, we do in the junior show give a reserve overall champion. Since all these rams were qualified as junior show participants as well, our grand champion will also be our junior show champion. That's why we're also selecting a reserve grand, which is actually our reserve junior champion. We do want to thank our sponsor for this class. Castle Horn Dorsets of Wytheville, Virginia is sponsoring an award for our Grand Champion Horn Dorset Ram. Also, our Junior Show Grand Champion Ram will receive a $50 gift card sponsored by and provided by Boot Barn, and we thank them both for their sponsorship of this award.
For a champion horned ram, again, when you get them out here, there's two rams in my mind that sort of stick out. The champion horned ram that was fitted and the champion horned ram that was slicked. The first one in each class. I think those two rams are very, very similar. When you put your hands on them, they handle very much alike. You're trying to sort through how much of it's fit job and taking nothing away, but I really like the fit job on this ram. He looks great out here. I think even going through the fit job, I think that ram, when you get your hands on him, he's just a little bit better behind his shoulder blades. He's a little bit better right in the breastplate to me. Other than that, I think they're very, very close. Both rams get out and move pretty free and easy off of both ends. I think it's a pretty close decision, but I'm going to use the fitted ram today, and then we'll come back with our slicked ram for reserve. Congratulations.
Grand Champion Ram for the Open Show and also our Junior Show champion goes to the Champion Fitted Ram out of the Fall Ram Lamb class, Gadsby 22108, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The Junior Show Reserve Grand Champion Ram was our Slickshorn Champion Ram. The Slickshorn Champion Ram was first in the Slickshorn Fall Ram Lamb class, Frog Hollow 1, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Now ready for Best Headed Ram. Best Headed Ram is your next class. The award for this class is sponsored by Betts Horn Dorsets of Felton, Delaware. Again, we're now ready for Best Headed Ram. So we're going to go ahead and ask the first of our trivia questions. At last year's Big E and the Horn Dorset Show, who exhibited the Junior Show Champion U? Junior Show Champion U. Our best headed ram goes to our overall grand champion ram, which what came out of the fitted fall ram lamb class, Gadsby 22108, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Now ready to move on into our fitted yearling ewes. Okay, that question again. At last year's Big E Horn Dorset show, who exhibited the junior show champion ewe? And that was on a fall ewe lamb, Oberholzer 2118, Emma Oberholzer of Pennsylvania.
Kind of a tough class out here. Excuse me. Just to sort through some of the differences in fit jobs. Some of them are really, really tight, short fleeced. Some of them have a little more condition on them. I guess you got to sort through all those things. I was trying to move them enough and handle them enough you could kind of follow, get in behind those sheep and read them as how much base width they actually had, how much muscle they're actually toting around when you get your hands on them down their top line. I think the ewe to start with is the one that came to the top of the class. She's probably one of the wider based, really well balanced ewes. She just really level in her top line, really kind of complete out there. She's not the biggest ewe, but she's most complete ewe out here as far as condition. She's not as heavy as some of the others. She's really square down her top line, really level in her dock. You have to really appreciate her for her side view and her balance. And if we're going to get behind her, she has that base width and correctness to go along with it. Second and third were the two where I was probably sorting on the most. Once you decide, both those ewes are really, really short, tight, fleeced. Both ewes have enough condition on them, but they still balance up pretty well. They both have a little bit more over the rib than maybe ideal, but they're in such tight fleece that you don't really see anything that's not there. Or you don't handle anything different than they are. They're just really well balanced. They have big old tops in them. I think the ewe I chose to put into second, she's just a little bit taller fronted. When you get her hands on her, she's really big and bold and cracked open down her top line. You really appreciate the depth of her loin. She's pretty level out of her dock. If I was being critical, I could raise her dock just a little bit and square her up just some out through there. But she really handles good in that lower part of her leg. She just, like I said, it's very, very short fleece on this ewe. You have to really appreciate everything she is what you see. The ewe coming in here in third, very similar situation. Very tight, short fleece, handles really good. You have to appreciate, again, that big old stout wide-made one. She's probably carrying a little bit more condition over the rib than the first two ewes, ewes that still very useful in her own kind. She's just really wide in her overall rib cage. I'd like to see her get out and move wider as we put her into motion. She gets a little straight up in her front end and her shoulder. I'd like to loosen her up in that structure just a bit to move her up into those top two spots. As we work on down into fourth hole here, a ewe that you really thought, when I first got I got her out here in the ring, I really thought I wanted to have her up a couple spots higher. A ewe that is really well fitted. She is probably the narrowest one of those. I'd like to open her up in both her rib cage and her base to get her up any higher in this class. She has some condition on her. She has some muscle working down her top, just not as much when you start evaluating how much of it's wool and how much of it's condition. She's not as wide base. She's not as opened up down her back and definitely doesn't have the width out through her hip and carry the muscle down low under her leg as we had in our first three individuals. Then we get into a really nice, good pattern ewe. She isn't fat at all. She isn't overly robust in her overall makeup, but she's just a nice balanced ewe. I wish there was more of her. I wish there was enough of her to get her on up towards the top, because I think she kind of resembles the ewe we chose to start with as far as balance, and she has some width and some structural makeup, but I just like to see more of her. I just don't know today, and maybe she's a younger yearling, and maybe she'll go on and grow out and be a bigger, wider made ewe. But again, she's really well balanced, really, really put together well. I'd like to see a lot more of her to get her up higher in the group. And then we round out the class with, again, a really attractive ewe. When you get your hands on her, she just kind of falls short again. Just not enough width, not enough base width, not enough shape working down her top line to get her up any higher. But again, really good pattern, really well balanced ewe to go into that next hole. Congratulations.
Next class is Slick Shorn yearling ewes. Slick Shorn yearling ewes will be your next class. Placing on the fitted yearling U class, first place goes to entry number 526, Paul R. Castle, W8767, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. That ewe weighing 221 pounds, and she's also first in the junior show. Second place to 527, Route 842, Campbell Reese, Chesterland, Ohio. That ewe weighing 223. Third place to entry number 524, Route 844, Parker Reese, Chesterland, Ohio. That ewe weighing 220. Fourth place, second in the junior show, Oberholzer 2118, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Fifth, third in the junior show, Oberholzer 2204, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. And sixth place to entry 525, Taylor Mason, Worthington, Massachusetts. The Horned Dorset breed originated in southern England, perhaps from the crossing of Merinos and the horned sheep of Wales. The first Horned Dorsets in the U.S. were actually on the west coast in Oregon in 1860. The first Horned Dorsets on the east coast coming from England in 1885. Dorsets, both horned and polled combined, are the #1 white-faced breed in the U.S. in terms of animal numbers in registrations. So, our next question for the trivia. At the 2008 Big E Horned Dorset Show, who exhibited the first place exhibitor's flock, breeder's flock, and get of sire, and was named the premier exhibitor and the premier breeder? And the answer to that trivia question was Thomas Walsh of Maine.
Little tougher class to sort through, just trying to get a view of them when they get out and move. We got one ewe that really doesn't want to go. I think she's really nice in her overall makeup. I just like to see her get out and move, but she's just not appreciating the ring very much today. So, but I think there's still enough of her that you can see when you get on her. She's super opened up in her chest cavity. She's really big and bold out through her hip. You like that width that she goes to ground with. She's balanced up pretty well. Ideally, I would peel a little condition off of her. It would probably make her balance up a bit better. She's very easy keeping, as you can see. She's just one of those ewes that probably puts it on pretty easy. There's just a lot of good in her. Like I said, if I could, ideally, I'd like to see her get out and move a little bit better, and strip a little condition off of her would only help her in the ring. The ewe coming in second, very similar though. I think again she's a little bit heavier conditioned than ideal. It takes a little bit away from her balance. Again, she makes her look a little heavier up through her forerib and front end than you'd like. But again, when you get behind the ewe and you get your hands on her, she's really opened up in her rib cage. She's big in her loin. She has a lot of muscle in that depth of loin. I don't see her to be quite as wide at the ground when she goes away from you. I'd like to open her up in her base width ever so slightly and maybe clean her up, pick her up in her chest breastplate there. She's tall enough fronted. She just got a little more breastbone than ideal comparative to the ewe that we chose to start with. But both big, broody kind of ewes have a lot of capacity to them, still a lot of good in them. The ewe comes in third. I think she kind of follows that mold as far as the profile. When I get in behind her, she falls short. She's just a little lighter from behind. I'd like to see her have more of that balance from behind. She gives up an awful lot of muscularity and some base width to those top two individuals. But again, really well balanced, has a lot of capacity through her forerib and in through her center body comparative to those top two. The one that comes in fourth was kind of the problem sheep. She's really attractive. I really like this profile of the sheep. I like a lot of things about her. She's just narrower than I'd like to see from side to side. I don't even think condition is the problem. I think she just is built a little bit narrow when you get behind her. Again, she has some muscle to her. She's really balanced well. We just like to see a lot more capacity and a lot more base width from side to side and in through her center body to match up with those top three. And then we round out with one again that's just a really nice balanced ewe. Again, she gives up an awful lot of width out through her hip and then she goes to the ground. Congratulations.
Results from our Slick Shorn yearling U class. First place and open first place in the junior show to entry number 531, Paul R. Castle W8650. Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to, and that lamb in first weight, or that ewe in first weight 209. Second place to entry number 534, Paul R. Castle W8774, Wayne Shannon, Canal, Winchester, Ohio, that ewe weighing 222. Third place to entry 532, Taylor Mason, Worthington, Massachusetts. Fourth, second in the junior show to lot 529, Oberholzer 2115, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Fifth place, third in the junior show to lot 531 or 530, also Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Placing on the pair of yearling ewes for the Horn Dorset Show, first place goes to Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Third to Taylor Mason, Worthington, Massachusetts. And 4, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Now ready for fitted early fall ewe lambs. Fitted early fall ewe lambs. Ten years ago at the 2013 Biggie Horn Dorset Show, who was the exhibitor that stood 1-2 in every single U class? And the answer to that trivia question about 10 years ago, who had the first and second in every single U class? Ridge Betts from Delaware.
Again, we got another class that there's some differences maybe in type and kind and maturity patterns. And so as these sheep mature and keep going on, I think you'll probably see them switch around a little bit. I think today there's one that just really comes to the class with a lot of base width. She's really opened up in her body cavity. She's got plenty of muscle working down her back and out through her hip. She's one of the heavier muscled ones right through the center and lower portion of her leg. Ideally, I'd like to see her just a tick taller, fronted and a little bit leaner over her rib. She's carrying a little bit extra condition for me today. I think if you peeled her down a few pounds, that would probably make her even look that much more extended. One of my issues with her is when she gets out on the move, I'd like to see her a little longer strided than maybe what she is today. Peel some condition off, that may help her a bit. The ewe coming in second's the one you really want to gravitate to from the side view, and I think only maturity and time and weight is going to help this ewe. She's got all the pieces there. She's really correct, really extended. I don't know if I read her to be quite as wide-based as I'd like to see her. She may go continually get wider as she gets older and matures, but that's a really, really well-balanced one. She's really correct in her overall makeup. She's maybe got a little more wool stacked right out over her tail head. I think there's maybe just a little bit difference there more than what it appears from the side of the ring, but that's a really cool one from the profile. You get behind her, she balances really, really well also. That's a nice one to go into the second hole. The ewe coming in third, another one that she is what she is. She's not got a lot of fleece on her, so you know that all of it's her. She's thicker even than maybe she appears. From the side of the ring, she maybe gets out of balance for me a bit comparative to the top two, and maybe a little frailer just looking from the side of the ring. I know she doesn't have small feet. She just isn't quite as woolly legged probably today, or have as much hair, which makes her appear to be not as stout. But when you get up on her, she's got plenty of foot size. She's got plenty of mass, and she is really thick in her top line. I'd like to see her balance from the rear view, and I think some of that's due to the fact that she's carrying quite a bit more condition over her rib than her top two. That takes away from some of her balance from the rear view. The ewe rounding out the top four is a ewe that's really, really extended and late maturing, I think. But you can see when she gets out and moves, she really gets base narrow for me off of both ends, front and rear. I really like the profile of her. I like the build of her. I'd just like to see more width from end to end to get her up any higher in the group that she's in. Congratulations.
Our next class will be fitted late fall ewe lambs. Fitted late fall ewe lambs will be your next class. Placings on the class of fitted early fall ewe lambs. First place to entry 539, Paul R. Castle W. 8838, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. And that animal is also first in our junior show, weighing 169 pounds. Second place in both the open and junior show went to entry number 542, Oberholzer 2218, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. That ewe weighing 160. Third place to entry 541, Campbell Reese, Chesterland, Ohio. That ewe weighing 197. Third in the junior show to entry 544, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Here's the next trivia question on the Horn Dorsets. At the 2018 Big E Horn Dorset Show, Willow Manor of Pennsylvania won every individual class with the exception of one class, and that was the Fall Ewe Lamb class. Who was the exhibitor that won that class? And the answer to that trivia question was Austin Grace of New Hampshire. And Steve Marchek sent me that answer. He was correct. It was Austin Grace.
In our next class here, the Lake Falls, this is a really nice set of ewe lambs. All three of them really have a lot of quality to them. I think the ewe that we chose to start with, though, I think she's the one that combines a lot of good things. She has more capacity, more width from side to side, just natural base width as she gets out and tracks throughout the ring. She really balances well from the side view, and when you put your hands on her, she is what she is. There's really not a lot of wool or fleece on her sides. She's real square, and she has some dimension to muscle to her top line. I think she's pretty level when you get your hands on her. The ewe coming in second, I think most closely follows her from a balance standpoint. I don't know if there's quite as much of her as compared to maybe the ewe in third. There's a little bit more to that ewe in third, but I think some of that's just condition over her rib. I like the balance of this ewe coming in second. I like the angularity when you get behind her. She still has enough width in her skeleton. I think there's just not as much condition on her, and she's not as mature in her overall growth curve today. A ewe that you really have to appreciate for the width and the balance when you get behind her. I don't think there's as much of her as the one we chose to start the class with. I'd like to see her just a little bit heavier structured underneath compared to the ewe we chose to start with also. The ewe that rounds out the class with probably the biggest, boldest body to ribbed and ribbed in here. But she's also the heaviest condition, which takes away from her balance a little bit. When you get on the side view, I'd like to square up out of her dock a bit. The way she comes off of that dock, you know, she drops just in a little bit in her hip and a placement, and when I set her into motion, she still stays a little bit narrow for the amount of width that she has up for the front half. I'd like to have her have some of that width because she goes to the ground when she goes away from me. Congratulations.
Our next class will be Slickshorn Fall, ewe lambs. Slickshorn Fall, ewe lambs. Placing on the fitted late fall ewe lamb class for the Horn Dorset Show. First place to entry number 545, Paul R. Castle W, 8878. Wayne Shannon of Canal, Winchester, Ohio. That ewe weighing 172. Second place to 543, Gallagher G, 195. Taylor Mason, Worthington, Massachusetts. That ewe weighing 149. And third place to entry 547, Parker Reese, Chesterland, Ohio. That ewe weighing 198.
For our slick-sheared ewe lambs here, just the two entries, but both really nice individuals as far as balance and eye appeal on the side view. You get behind them, I think that's where you sort these top two. The ewe lamb we chose to start with just opened up more in her body cavity from side to side. You like that about her. She goes to the ground with a little more base width and ruggedness of feature. As in this ewe in second, she's really attractive, really level in her design. Give her a little more time. I think she's going to come on and even get better, but I'm not sure she's going to get much wider in her overall structure, but she is going to put more weight and body mass onto her, so really a nice one to stand in second, but I guess I'd like to see her structurally wider to get her into that first hole. Congratulations. Maybe not passed out.
Next class is fitted winter ewe lambs. Fitted winter ewe lambs. Single entry in that class. Placing on the Slickshorn Fall ewe lamb class. First place In open first in the junior show to entry 548, Oberholzer 2213, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania, that you weighing 140. Second place in open and in the junior show to entry 550, Sink Paget 1903 ET, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania, that you weighing 125.
This is Winter. Just the one entry here in the winter class of the Horn Dorsets, but I think an awfully good one that could stand quite a bit of competition. She's really put together nice. You have to appreciate her. She gets out and moves pretty free and easy when she gets on the move. A little longer strided than what we've seen in some of the other ewes, but when you get your hands on her, you sure have to appreciate the width and the depth and mass of her top line, and squares up really good out of her hip. Goes to the ground with a really square hock and sets them down square behind. A ewe that's really attractive from the side profile. Also, just a nice one. It could, like I said, stand a lot of competition. Congratulations.
Next, we have our class of fitted spring ewe lambs, fitted springs. Placing on the class of fitted winter ewe lambs, first place in open and in junior to 552, Frog Hollow 2, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut, that ewe weighing 142 pounds. Our next class will be Slickshorn Winter Spring ewe lambs. Slickshorn Winter or Spring ewe lambs. So at last year's Big E Horn Dorset show, who exhibited the champion ram in both the open show and the junior show? It was Madeline Syme with a fall ram lamb, which happens to be the sire of that ram right there.
Nice set of ewe lambs here in our spring, or not sure what they're calling it, ewe lamb class. The difference, I think, is when you get up on them and you see when the first place you just a little bit wider. She gets from her hips back through her pins, and as she goes to the ground, she keeps that base width a little bit more true. A ewe that's really tall, fronted, and level in her top line. You have to appreciate that about her. As we see her in motion, she kind of collects herself and stays really level in her overall makeup, and I think that's the difference when we set the second one into motion. She kind of wants to get a little high on her top, maybe a little off behind her shoulders for me, and as we get in behind her, she's maybe not as good in her dock set, but that's a ewe that has a lot of body to her. She's as true as anything out here. She just has that really short, tight fleece, so what you see is what you get. There's a lot of body to her, just like to balance her up from a side profile standpoint a little bit better to give her more of that width and depth out through her hip and down to the ground when she goes away. Congratulations.
Next class is Slickshorn Winter Spring ewe lambs. Placing on the class of fitted spring ewe lambs for the Horn Dorset show, first place to entry number 553, Frog Hollow 5, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut, a ewe weighing 147, and that was also first in the junior show. Second place to entry 554, Route 862, Campbell Reese, Chesterland, Ohio, that ewe weighing 146. We're now showing Slickshorn winter or spring ewe lambs. Your next class will be pair of ewe lambs. And then we'll show for open show champion fitted and reserve fitted ewe.
Really nice pair of winter spring ewe lambs here. Slickshorn that really kind of make a nice class as far as placing for me. That you can kind of see the one you should easily start the class. She's just a bigger, bolder type of ewe. She has a lot of capacity to her. You get on her, she's as true and level down her top line as you can make one. Really square out of her hip. You have to appreciate that about her. She gets out and moves pretty free and easy off of both ends when she gets out the ring. The ewe coming in second, I think just a little more immature, not as much of her yet today. I think that's a really attractive one also, one that can get that much better with future and time and some weight on her. That's a ewe that's going to get bigger bodied and carry more condition and just look that much better because she's built pretty well. She balances up really well on the profile standpoint, maybe not as wide out through her pin placement as the first place ewe from behind, but a really attractive sheep. from a balance standpoint. Again, congratulations.
Now ready for pair of ewe lambs, Horn Dorset pair of ewe lambs. Placing on the class of Slickshorn winter or spring ewe lambs, first place to entry number 555, Gadsby 2323. Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut, a ewe weighing 144, and that was also first in our junior show. Second and open, second in a junior show, went to entry 556, Oberholzer 2301, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania, that ewe weighing 102. Now showing pair of ewe lambs, your next class will be for open show fitted champion ewe and open show reserve fitted champion ewe. Placing on the Horn Dorset pair of ewe lamb class, first place goes to Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Third, Campbell Reese, Chesterland, Ohio. And fourth place, Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Again, now ready to show for open show fitted champion ewe and open show fitted reserve champion ewe. So here's the final Horn Dorset trivia question. Who judged the Horn Dorset show at the Big E 15 years ago? That would have been in 2008. One hint, this individual comes from the same state as our judge today. Catherine was quick with that answer. It was Gary Saylor.
I had to ask which one was which classes. They got so many of these. To get my directions right, and I might still mess it up. So I'm going to probably go out here and point at the one I want. I thought we had a tremendous show of the fitted horn Dorsets here. There's a lot of quality in the classes, but when we get out here in the lineup, you see they really, especially the front line and several in the second line, there's really good individuals, built well, structured right, have the right kind of makeup as far as muscularity and condition. As we get out here in our champion drive, I think there was several that I could have into contentions in my mind, and when I got out here, it was kind of like all looked about the same. When you put your hands on them, I think you see there's some differences, and when we get in behind them and read them as far as composition of muscularity compared to condition, and they're all fitted really well, but they're all really good sheep underneath those fit jobs. So it's not hard to find a couple really nice ones out here, and many more. So with that, we'll go out and select our champion and reserve of the fitted show, and congratulations. So I'm thinking that's the winter.
Our fitted champion ewe goes to the first place in the fitted winter ewe lamb class. Entry number 552, Frog Hollow 2, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The reserve fitted was out of the fitted early fall ewe lamb class. Entry number 539, Pollard Castle W, 8838, also Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Now ready to show for open show, Slick Shorn, champion and reserve champion ewe. Again, we're now ready to select our champion and reserve champion, Slick Shorn ewe. So we'll need the first, second place animals of the previous Slick Shorn classes. That's that yearling ewe class. Also the fall ewe lamb class. And also the winter or spring ewe lamb class.
in our slick-sheared horn Dorsets here, again, a really good group of ewes to work with to pick up from our champion and reserve. I think it gets pretty easy in my mind for champion. Reserve gets a little bit closer, but I still think there's one that kind of combines some capacity and ruggedness and still has enough balance and eye appeal. But a champion will be on our winter-spring combined ewe here. Congratulations. And we'll go back with our yearling for our reserve.
For our Slickshorn champion, it went to the first place winter-spring combined ewe lamb from the Slickshorn division, entry number 555, Gadsby 2323, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The reserve was the class winner of the Slickshorn yearling ewe class, entry 531, Paul R. Castle W 8650, also Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Our next class will be to show for Grand and Reserve Grand Champion. So we'll need that fitted champion in reserve in the ring along with our Slickshorn champion in reserve in the ring, please. All four of the animals out here are junior show winners. So our grand champion will also be our junior show grand. And what is selected as reserve will be the selection of our reserve junior show champion ewe. We do want to thank the Betts Horn Dorsets for sponsoring the award here that we're going to be given out for our Horn Dorset Grand Champion ewe. Also, we want to thank Boot Barn. They will be giving a $50 gift card to the Junior Show Grand Champion ewe.
For a champion ewe, I think there's a couple of ewes that really, in my mind, stuck out in each of their individual shows, and the fitted one would be one, and the slicked one would be the other. Both those individuals just really, really complete, high-quality individuals that get out and can move about the ring. They're really attractive, but yet when you get your hands on them, they have product in them. I guess for me, they have to have some base width, some natural muscle working in them, still to get out here and to to balance up, and those are all the parts that I'm looking for. A couple of them are maybe just a little heavier conditioned as they get older and get mature, and we would expect that with time. But these two are in the right kind of condition today. They're really good built. I guess for me it comes down to one, when I get them into motion, they're really close as far as handle. When I get them into motion, one of them is maybe just a little longer strided, but one of them's definitely wider based as we get her into motion, and I think still long enough strided. Our fitted ewe will be our champion, and we'll come back with our slicked ewe for reserve. Congratulations.
Our grand champion, Horn Dorset ewe, was the fitted champion. First in the fitted winter ewe lamb class. And that was entry number 552, Frog Hollow 2, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The reserve junior show champion ewe was our Slickshorn champion ewe, first in the Slickshorn winter or spring ewe lamb class, entry number 555, Gadsby 2323, also Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. We are now ready to show for Best Headed Ewe. Best Headed Ewe will be your next class. And for the Best Headed Ewe, we do want to thank Betts Horn Dorsets of Felton, Delaware, for their sponsorship of that Best Headed Ewe award. And our Best Headed Ewe goes to our class winner from the fitted yearling ewe class, Pollard Castle W8767, lot number 526 in the entry book, Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. We are now ready for Exhibitor's Flock. Next class will be Breeder's Flock. Breeder's Flock's the next one. Placing on the exhibitor's flock, first place is Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Third place to Amanda Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Now showing Breeder's Flock. And that will be our final class, as there is no Get of Sire entries. Winning the Breeder's Flock is Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. Premier exhibitor for the Horn Dorset show is Madeline Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Premier breeder for the Horn Dorset show, Emma Oberholzer, East Earl, Pennsylvania. So you two young ladies need to come up and get your awards for those. We want to remind our exhibitors, if you had a champion ram or reserve, or champion ewe or reserve in either the junior show or the open show or both, we do need to get photos today at the photo backdrop. So please come to the ring and get those done. That does conclude our shows for today here at the Big E and the Sheep Show ring. Our judge has been Mr. Mike Stitzline of Ohio. Mike will be back tomorrow with us as we go into our Southdown show tomorrow morning at 8:30. Don't forget, tomorrow at 12 noon will be lead line competition. Then at 1:30, our Dorper show. Working dog demo tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then 7 o'clock will be junior showmanship.